Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a journey through time, where history and hidden fortune meet in the palm of your hand. The British Two-Shilling coin, whether from 1947, 1948, 1953, 1962, or 1964, is not just an ordinary piece of currency. It is a treasure of heritage, a mark of royal legacy, and a prize sought after by collectors across the world. Each coin tells a story of its era, its ruler, and its rare survival through history. And today, we uncover the secrets behind these remarkable coins, revealing why they hold immense value and how they could transform from simple silver-tone discs into rewards worth thousands of dollars. And to begin this journey, let us step back to the year 1947, when King George VI reigned, and the very first post-war British two-shilling without a mint mark was struck, a coin that would soon become a legend among collectors. This is not just a piece of metal. This is a coin that carries with it the echoes of a world that had just emerged from the devastation of World War II. It is a symbol of a nation rebuilding itself, reshaping its currency, and creating pieces that today stand as monuments of value. The year 1947 was critical in British history. The war had ended only 2 years earlier, and the British economy was still fragile. Silver had become expensive, and the government made the decision to replace sterling silver coinage with a new composition of cupronickel. The 1947 two-shilling was one of the first to be struck in this modern material, marking a dramatic shift in British coinage history. On the obverse, we see the proud portrait of King George VI, the father of Queen Elizabeth II. His portrait symbolizes a strong leader who guided Britain through some of its darkest days. The absence of a mint mark makes this particular issue even more striking, because collectors know that the no mint mark version from this year carries special attention and rarity. The reverse design is just as remarkable, the crowned English rose, flanked by a thistle and shamrock, representing the unity of England, Scotland, and Ireland under one crown. This design alone makes the coin a beautiful work of art, but it is its rarity and historical context that truly elevate its status. Why is this coin valuable? Because it stands at the crossroads of history. It was minted at a time when Britain was letting go of silver coinage forever, moving toward more practical but less precious materials. This transition makes the 1947 issue highly sought after, especially the two shillings without mint mark. Collectors around the world treasure this coin because it is more than a monetary artifact. It is the story of a world in recovery, a story of sacrifice, resilience, and renewal. Owning such a coin is like holding a piece of that story in your hands. The value of the 1947 British two-shilling with no mint mark has risen dramatically over the years. At first glance, some may think a mid-20th century coin cannot command attention, but this coin proves them wrong. Rarity, condition, and demand make it a powerful force in the collector's market. In pristine, uncirculated condition, this coin has achieved astonishing results at auctions. Collectors have paid hundreds, even thousands of dollars for the best examples, and that momentum only continues to grow. A fine piece can fetch around $400 to $700, while truly exceptional specimens in mint state have been known to bring in over $1,500. Think about that for a moment. A coin that once passed hands for a simple 2 shillings now holds the potential to earn a collector thousands of dollars. That is the magic of numismatics, the transformation of ordinary change into extraordinary wealth. When you look at this coin, you are not just looking at currency. You are looking at a survival from the ashes of war. Every detail on its surface speaks of endurance, of a country that had suffered but refused to collapse. That is why collectors are willing to pay top dollar for it, because it represents history, rarity, and meaning combined in one small disc of metal. The no mint mark detail is critical here. Many coins from other years and issues carry mint marks, but the absence of one in the 1947 2 shillings makes it a unique identifier. a hallmark of rarity, and a magnet for serious collectors. So, is this coin really that valuable? Absolutely, yes. Every serious collector of British coinage recognizes the importance of the 1947 two shillings with no mint mark. Every passionate investor in rare coins knows that this piece has a place in the higher tiers of collectible currency. The maximum value you could sell this coin for depends, of course, on its grade. If your coin is worn and circulated, you could still achieve a handsome sum of around $100 to $200. But if your coin is sharp, with minimal wear, or better yet, uncirculated, then you are looking at potential sales upwards of $1,500, and in some rare cases, even beyond. That is why this coin deserves attention. It is not just a relic. It is a hidden treasure waiting to be discovered in someone's collection, or even lying forgotten in a box of old coins. Imagine finding one in mint condition. You could be holding a small fortune in your hand. The beauty of the 1947 British Two Shilling with no mint mark is that it appeals not only to professional numismatists, but also to everyday collectors. It has a universal story, a universal value, and a universal charm. And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we close our exploration of this rare treasure, let me remind you that coins are more than metal. They are history, art, and investment combined. The 1947 two shilling George VI with no mint mark is proof of that. If you are lucky enough to have one, protect it, treasure it, and remember its worth. Because in the world of collecting, few coins carry such a perfect balance of history, rarity, and high value. This is a coin that reminds us, sometimes the most ordinary-looking things can hold the most extraordinary value. From the legacy of 1947, we now move forward just 1 year, to 1948, where the reign of George VI continued, and with it came another remarkable two-shilling coin without a mint mark, carrying its own story of rarity and value. It is a symbol of resilience, a reminder of a world recovering from global conflict, and a testament to how ordinary change can become extraordinary wealth when rarity and history intersect. The year 1948 was one of transition for Britain. The nation was still recovering from World War II, rationing was still in place, and the rebuilding process was a slow journey. At the same time, the British Royal Mint was producing coins not in silver anymore, but in cupronickel, a blend of copper and nickel. This was a major shift, because just 1 year earlier, in 1947, Britain had permanently abandoned sterling silver coinage. The 1948 two shilling coin carried this new composition, and on its obverse proudly displayed the portrait of King George VI. His stern but steady gaze symbolized leadership, continuity, and strength in uncertain times. The reverse carried the crowned rose, flanked by the thistle and shamrock, bringing together the symbols of England, Scotland, and Ireland. What makes the 1948 issue so special, however, is the absence of a mint mark. While many coins bear marks identifying their place of production, this issue's lack of a mint mark sets it apart and makes it especially prized among collectors. That small omission transforms an otherwise common coin into a rare and highly desirable collectible. Every detail of this coin tells a story. The choice of cupronickel showed Britain's determination to move forward economically. The portrait of the king reminded people of the monarchy's guiding hand, and the no mint mark variation elevated the coin into something unique, something collectors would chase decades later. Now, why is this coin valuable? Because rarity, history, and symbolism create value. The 1948 two shillings with no mint mark is not just another post-war coin. It is a cornerstone of the new era of British currency. It marks the very first full year of coins produced entirely in base metals, and that makes it a milestone in numismatic history. Collectors across the globe understand that coins which mark turning points in history always carry special worth. The 1948 no mint mark is exactly that kind of coin. It represents both the end of one era and the beginning of another. When it comes to price, this coin has achieved astonishing results. In well-preserved condition, it commands significant attention at auctions. Circulated examples may still attract respectable offers, but the true magic begins when the coin is found in uncirculated or mint state condition. In such pristine quality, the 1948 British Two Shilling George VI with no mint mark has been known to reach prices from $500 to $1,000, and in exceptional cases, can push even higher, sometimes soaring past $2,000 in high-grade collector markets. Imagine that, a coin worth only 2 shillings in 1948, now capable of bringing in thousands of dollars today. That is the incredible journey of this piece. And remember, this is not an isolated event. Coins like these consistently grow in value as collectors and investors recognize their rarity and historical significance. Demand continues to increase, while supply remains limited, because only so many of these coins exist in high condition. The story of this coin is a reminder that the smallest objects can carry the greatest value. What might seem like a simple piece of change could in fact be a gateway to a small fortune. So yes, ladies and gentlemen, this coin is truly valuable. Every serious collector of British currency knows its importance, and every person lucky enough to discover one in their collection should realize the treasure they are holding. If you happen to own a 1948 2 shillings with no mint mark, safeguard it. Get it graded, preserve its condition, and understand its potential. Because the maximum value, depending on grade and rarity, can climb well beyond $2,000, and that makes it one of the most valuable post-war British coins you could possibly own. This coin is proof that history is alive in our hands. It shows us that even everyday objects, when seen through the lens of time, can become priceless. So go and check your old coin collections. Search those family boxes tucked away in drawers. Because somewhere out there, someone still holds this 1948 no mint mark 2 shilling without even realizing its worth. And who knows, that someone might just be you. Leaving behind the treasures of 1948, we now arrive at 1953, the dawn of a new era, when Queen Elizabeth II took the throne, and her very first 2 shilling coin without a mint mark was introduced, a piece that marked the beginning of a royal legacy. It is the very first official circulating coin issued under Queen Elizabeth II, struck in the year of her coronation. That fact alone makes it a historical landmark and a highly desirable collectible. The year 1953 was a year of celebration and change for Britain. With the passing of King George VI in 1952, his young daughter Elizabeth ascended the throne. The coronation in June of 1953 was a global event, and the Royal Mint prepared a brand new portrait of the young queen to appear on circulating coinage for the very first time. The obverse of the 2 shilling coin features the youthful portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. Unlike later portraits, this design shows the Queen uncrowned, representing a fresh beginning and a new era for Britain. Collectors today prize this portrait for its beauty and historical importance. The reverse of the coin carried the familiar crowned Tudor rose, flanked by the thistle and shamrock, symbols of unity among the nations of the United Kingdom. But it is the date, 1953, and the absence of a mint mark that give this coin its rare and valuable status. Why is this coin so valuable? Because it marks the very first issue of Elizabeth II's reign. Coins that introduce a monarch are always highly prized, but the 1953 2 shillings hold even greater weight because they symbolize the beginning of one of the longest and most celebrated reigns in history. Every collector knows that first-year issues are critical. They are milestones in numismatics, and when those first-year issues come without a mint mark, their rarity and desirability grow even higher. The 1953 2 shilling coin was minted in cupro-nickel, replacing silver entirely. But don't let the metal deceive you. Its true value lies not in what it is made of, but in what it represents. A coronation year, a new monarch, and the birth of a new era in British coinage. When this coin appears in the collector's market, it commands serious attention. Average circulated pieces already carry a premium, but in uncirculated condition, this coin transforms into a true prize. Values range dramatically depending on grade. A fine piece can bring in $200 to $400, while higher quality examples often reach $600 to $900. But the true gems, the coins preserved in brilliant mint state, have been known to achieve astonishing results of $1,500 and even beyond $2,000 at auction. Imagine holding a coin that once had a face value of only 2 shillings, now capable of selling for thousands of dollars. That is the power of history and rarity combined. And this is why the 1953 no mint mark 2 shilling is so motivating for collectors. It shows us that coins are more than money. They are records of moments, transitions, and turning points in time. This coin captures the very beginning of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, a reign that went on to define modern Britain and the Commonwealth for over 7 decades. To own one is to own the first chapter of that incredible story. So is it really that valuable? The answer is a resounding yes. Every serious British collector recognizes its importance. Every investor in rare coins understands the power of coronation year issues. And every lucky person who has one in their collection is holding a treasure worth safeguarding. The maximum value you could sell this coin for depends on its condition. But if you hold an uncirculated, near-perfect example, you may very well achieve prices upwards of $2,000, with the potential to climb even higher as demand continues to grow. This is not just a coin. It is a time capsule from 1953. It is a bridge between the past and present, connecting us to a young queen at the dawn of her reign. So check your collections. Look through your inherited coins. Because if you discover the 1953 British 2 shilling of Elizabeth II with no mint mark, you may be holding one of the most valuable treasures of 20th century British numismatics. From the historic first issue of 1953, we now journey nearly a decade forward to 1962, where Queen Elizabeth II's reign was firmly established, and the 2 shilling coin without a mint mark emerged once again as a prized symbol of mid-century Britain and a treasure for collectors. It is a relic of a period when Britain was still rebuilding its strength and identity after the challenges of the Second World War. It represents a young queen at the height of her early reign, a nation modernizing rapidly, and a coinage system that was steeped in tradition, yet already on the path to dramatic change. The year 1962 falls squarely within the first portrait era of Queen Elizabeth II. The obverse of the coin shows the youthful and uncrowned portrait of the Queen, designed by Mary Gillick. Collectors treasure this portrait for its elegance and simplicity. It captures a queen full of promise and vitality, still early in her journey to become Britain's longest-serving monarch. On the reverse, the coin proudly displays the crowned Tudor rose, accompanied by the Scottish thistle and Irish shamrock. This powerful design stood as a symbol of unity within the United Kingdom, reminding everyone of the strength of the crown and its heritage. The absence of a mint mark on this particular issue is what makes it unique and valuable. While other coins bear mint marks that identify their origin, the no mint mark variety of the 1962 2 shilling is scarce, instantly catching the attention of collectors. This subtle detail transforms an otherwise ordinary coin into an extraordinary rarity. Why is this coin valuable? Because it is both historical and rare. By 1962, Britain was inching closer to the great decimalization of its currency, which would arrive less than a decade later. These pre-decimal coins, especially ones tied to Elizabeth II's early reign, became symbols of a system that was about to vanish forever. Collectors across the world seek out coins that represent turning points. The 1962 Two Shilling does exactly that. It represents the last great age of the traditional shilling system, while also highlighting the timeless appeal of the Queen's first coin portrait. When it comes to value, the story gets even more exciting. While this coin began life with a face value of only 2 shillings, its collector worth today is far greater. Even circulated examples are desired, but the real rewards come with high-grade specimens. In fine condition, this coin can attract offers around $200 to $400. In extremely fine grades, the coin's value climbs higher, often ranging between $600 and $900. But the real prizes are the mint state, uncirculated pieces, which can easily command $1,500 or more. There have been recorded sales where pristine examples of the 1962 no-mint Mark II shilling have reached beyond $2,000 in collector markets. That is an astonishing leap in value for a coin that was once worth only a tiny fraction of a pound. Think about it, a coin that people once carried in their pocket without a second thought is now recognized as a collectible masterpiece, capable of delivering a small fortune to the person lucky enough to own one. That is the extraordinary magic of numismatics. And this is why you should never overlook old coins. The 1962 British Two Shilling with no mint mark is a perfect example of how history, rarity, and condition combine to turn everyday change into a powerful asset. So, is it really that valuable? Without a doubt, every serious British coin collector understands its importance. Every investor in rare coins knows its potential, and every person who has discovered one in their possession is holding a hidden treasure. The maximum value you could sell this coin for depends entirely on condition, but with a flawless, mint state piece, you could easily achieve $2,000 or more. That makes this coin one of the shining stars of mid-century British numismatics. But beyond its monetary value, this coin carries meaning. It is a piece of the story of Britain, of Queen Elizabeth II's reign, and of a changing world. To own it is to own a tangible fragment of that story, preserved forever in metal. So I encourage you to search through your collections, your inherited boxes of coins, or even the forgotten drawers where treasures sometimes lie unnoticed. Because hidden among them, you may just find this valuable 1962 Two Shilling of Queen Elizabeth II with no mint mark. Treasure it, safeguard it, and never underestimate it. Because what appears to be simple old money may in fact be a rare key to wealth and history combined. And as we move from 1962, we arrive at 1964, the final jewel of our journey, a 2 shilling coin of Queen Elizabeth II without a mint mark, standing as one of the most valuable treasures of its time, and the perfect coin to conclude this story of hidden fortune. The year 1964 was an important one in Britain. Society was modernizing, the economy was growing, and a new cultural identity was emerging in the era of music, innovation, and progress. Yet at the same time, Britain still used the traditional pounds, shillings, and pence system, a system that was only a few years away from being replaced by decimal currency. The obverse of the coin proudly bears the first definitive portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Mary Gillick. Unlike the later portraits that show the queen crowned, this one shows her uncrowned, symbolizing youth, vitality, and the beginning of a reign that would go on to last over 7 decades. On the reverse, the crowned Tudor rose is displayed with the Scottish thistle and the Irish shamrock, symbols of unity under one monarchy. This design had been used since the early 20th century, and by 1964, it had become a classic symbol of British coinage. But what makes this coin so highly valuable is the fact that it carries no mint mark. This absence, though small, is a major point of rarity. Coins with mint marks can be traced back to their origin, but a no-mint mark coin of 1964 stands apart and instantly captures the interest of collectors. Why is this coin valuable? Because it sits at the crossroads of history. The 1964 issue was one of the last of its kind before Britain's great shift toward decimalization in 1971. Collectors treasure coins that represent the end of an era, and the 1964 two shilling fits perfectly into that category. Moreover, it is part of Queen Elizabeth II's early reign coinage, which makes it doubly appealing. Early reign coins are always in high demand, and when combined with rarity factors like the absence of a mint mark, they become collector goldmines. Now let us talk about the value. While its face value was once just 2 shillings, in today's collector market, this coin commands far more. Even circulated examples can fetch impressive sums, but the real story lies in the higher grades. Coins in fine or very fine condition often sell for $200 to $400. When you move into extremely fine grades, the price climbs higher, often reaching between $600 and $900. But it is the uncirculated, mint condition pieces that reveal the coin's true potential. Pristine examples of the 1964 British Two Shilling with no mint mark have been known to achieve auction prices well over $1,500, and in some cases, exceptional specimens have crossed the $2,000 threshold. That is a staggering return for a coin that once jingled in pockets as everyday money. This is the magic of numismatics, how history, rarity, and condition come together to transform a small coin into a treasure worth thousands of dollars. So, is this coin really that valuable? Absolutely. Every serious collector of British coinage knows its importance. Every investor in rare coins recognizes its potential. And every lucky individual who happens to own one holds a prize that must be protected. The maximum value for this coin, depending on grade, can easily soar past $2,000, making it one of the most desirable mid-century British coins you could ever hope to find. Beyond money, this coin tells a story. It tells us of Britain before decimalization, of a young queen at the start of her reign, and of a nation on the cusp of historic change. It is not just a collectible, it is a piece of living history. Ladies and gentlemen, I encourage you to take a closer look at your collections, your inherited coins, or even forgotten family boxes, because hidden among them could be this valuable 1964 British Two Shilling of Queen Elizabeth II with no mint mark. If you find one, treasure it, safeguard it, and know its worth, because what once passed as small change is now a rare and powerful asset. This coin reminds us that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in the objects we preserve, and sometimes those objects can reward us in ways we never imagined.